percentage of the median wage in Scott County would meet it, if it didn't meet it, you wouldn't consider it, or, they don't need to waste their time applying. I feel as a planner, I much more lean towards and trust the judgment of the planning commission to kind of know when that is reached. And I think of my response to the type of view Kent is expressing at the public hearing on Orriscom, when somebody asked, does this set a precedent? And I said, absolutely, I hope it does, and that is that every $1.5 billion development proposal will be seriously considered. That doesn't mean that somebody that comes in out along Highway 6 that says, Tim, I want to split off 6 acres so I can build a house for my son who works at Alcoa and my daughter-in-law works in a bank. And I say, no, our policies don't allow that. And they go, well, you were going to allow Orriscom. Well, that's not apples and apples. What I've tried to do my best here is to come up with a proposal that leaves intact our current policy for 99.9% of the types of development that we're trying to limit and prevent in rural Scott County on prime ag land. And that currently we don't have any method to consider that large plumb. And if that's your wisdom, if you say Scott County does not need to be a player in that, when a Triumph comes to town, I'll send them over to East Moline. I'll say, no, don't come here to locate, a plant here in Scott County, because we're not going to consider it. And if that's the wisdom of the planning commission of the board of supervisors, that's what I'll do. I was honest with the representatives of Morristown when they first met with me in my office. I didn't make them paint a rosy picture for them. I said, this is really very much a departure from the way our current land use policies read, and that we don't have a good provision to seriously consider some of this. And this is my first attempt at presenting to the planning commission language that would do that. But if you're philosophically opposed to any consideration and you feel that opening the door to $1 billion development is the same as opening the door to $1 million used car lot, then I don't know what else I could do. But we can talk about the next steps if you'd like, because I think I've heard from all 6 of you, and Catherine's gone. We still have Bill Martin from Quad City First on his calendar. He was not able to be here tonight, but could present on the criteria and process that both Quad Cities First and the state of Iowa is going through to establish large site industrial certified sites. We currently have an application with the state of Iowa for the East Island Industrial Center of about 200 contiguous acres that the GDRC owns, and that is currently under consideration. Kent has indicated to me he is not available on the 5th. Bill is available either on the 5th or the 19th. Is that the third Tuesday? So planning commission's concurrence, we don't have any other submittals for the 5th. We would just cancel that meeting and invite Bill Martin to come on the 19th. Okay, I'll take that as consensus.
Anything else, Tim?
So where do we land with this? I mean, where are we? I feel like we're kind of up in the air yet about
Sure,
this.
we are.
Where are we? What is the next step?
To consider whether you want to proceed with some kind of amendments to our policies, or if you want to say, no, we're not changing anything, then make a motion and approve that. And we're not not changing anything, there isn't any need for public hearing. There are some aspects of the zoning ordinance that I think would be good for us to review and examine. And I still maintain that there's some aspects of the future land use map that we could review. I still think, often said, when we first looked at the establishment of future land use map, first thing we saw was we had way more ag general land than we needed, way more land in a holding zone. And I always somewhat facetiously say way more is a technical planning term. But I think we still have areas that are currently zoned A2 that we might want to consider down zoning to ag general. I mean, to ag preservation. You know, if in the previous 30 years we haven't seen a development proposal, I don't think we necessarily want to eliminate all our A2 zoning. We don't. But I think there would be areas where we could consider it. And then you might want to consider amending the future land use maps for consideration of the large site criteria. Oh, I'm not too sure about that.
I have to tell you that I would be, I guess I feel more comfortable in looking at that land with the site criteria and seeing maybe where something fits in with that rather than giving a blanket.
Okay, well, here would be my suggestion. Let's invite Bill for the 16th and have his presentation. Thank you. And then decide whether you want to proceed any further with changes to our land use policies. And if not, then we can move on to what Planning Commission concurs would be the next step prior to any recommendation going to the Board of Supervisors, whether it's just the adoption of the update of the Chapter 3 profile, or future land use map, or zoning ordinance amendments, or changes to our land use policy. We are required to have a public hearing and take public comment, and it would be up to the Planning Commission how you want to structure gathering that public input. Because, the supervisors go out to all the small town councils every 2 years, to all 13. So that includes the large cities too. They go to Davenport, Davenport, and Elbridge, and larger cities, and they get to do Liberty and Walcott and the like. One of the things that those small towns say is, we need some help with economic development. Well, if the county can provide that, that would be great. If those small towns, Long Grove expands to annex, the interchange there at Highway 61, so it can develop under their jurisdiction. The county never opposed that. And what I'm hearing from the commission is you would much prefer to keep our policies intact and continue to encourage that by discouraging somebody coming in to use it. There's some land out there by Davenport Airport that is zoned A2 and is outside city limits, but over the years, anybody that's come in to talk to me, I always tell them, if you're directly adjacent to a city, whether it's Princeton or LeClaire or Davenport or Bedford, go talk to the city first before you consider submitting an application to rezone in the county's jurisdiction. Because I know this commission, that would be the first thing you say, so why not you annexing it to the city? Because that's our policy. Encourage development to occur within the established cities. And if that means the city establishes themselves larger, so be it. So, 19th, put it on your calendar. Happy Halloween.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll second